be doing today?
Oh, we are gonna be doing clay sculpture. I'm gonna be making a bust.
What is a bust?
Well, a good question. A bust is what I have in my hand. A bust is the head of a person. Yes, the head of the person, including the neck and the shoulders. And there are two techniques that can be used to create a sculpture. Okay, good question again. The two techniques that can be used to make sculptures are the additive and the subtractive.
What do you mean by additive and subtractive method?
Asking the right questions, my friend. So buddy, pretty much the additive method is when you are adding something, you're really putting more onto the structure. Adding is just like mathematics. You're adding numbers, you're adding more volume, but pretty much in this case you're adding more volume, you're adding more materials, you're building on the structure, you're putting more of the material on it. In the case of subtractive method is when you're carving away, you're removing excess material, which means you're gonna reduce the size and the weight of it, and vice versa. If you're adding more weight and you're adding more form, more volume to the structure. All right, so these areas can be carved away. This clay is cheese hard at the moment. You're looking at the cavity right there under the neck. There's paper there, which was the original structure for the sculpture. I used the paper to help to reduce the weight of the sculpture. Ultimately, when it is removed, it's gonna become lighter because it's gonna be burnt off. All right, the paper. So these little structures, these little features you are looking at represent here. You see the features of the portrait, of the bust, sorry. You're looking at the engraving going on there, just like drawing. Alright, so we're moving on.
Why does the clay look and feel like a rock?
You guys are asking the best questions, the most appropriate questions. I like that. It's now at a solid stage. It's bisque fired. It becomes tough. It becomes hard after it's removed from the furnace. So it's called bisque fired. You see the cavity where the paper was?
Yes.
So pretty much the paper was used to make the structure for the form. And the paper was used as the skeletal structure, just like the steel work for a concrete building. You build the clay on top of the wet paper that is crushed and formed with less detail. And you're looking at the boat that we did in class. You remember? It's the basic step for making paper mache structure or transforming paper, and it comes in handy in sculptures or in 3D artworks. So that was you learning the basic technique, and you're looking at these paper mache structure that are being made from paper ponal, and the wire is used as the structure for these paper mache sculptures. as you can see, the binding wire, which is used in construction, these are gonna be completed. So you use the knowledge you gain from paper mache sculpture to clay sculptures. Transfer of knowledge, very important. It's a fusion of ideas that's going on there. What you learn from paper mache sculpture. So there's a relationship between paper mache sculptures and clay sculptures. It's just sculpture in general. Different techniques, different mediums or materials. So you can use the paper mache for the clay sculpture structures. But you don't want to put the wire in your furnace or in your kiln. We'll elaborate on that further in further lessons. Alright, so talking about transfer of information or knowledge. The bronze sculpture you're looking at here is gonna be the same technique that is applied to the disfired clay sculpture. The bronze color, the bronze paint. You don't always have to glaze your clay products. You don't have to glaze fire it. You could just bisfire it and then paint it, which makes it easier. And these are not functional objects anyway. These are just decorative objects to put on display. So you don't have to worry about the glazing and the resistance of water. So you're looking at the cavity there. It was good for the firing process. All the paper turned to ashes, turns into ash, and there it helps to reduce the capability of it, the possibility of it cracking or breaking or shattering or exploding in the clay. So it hollows, it reduces the weight. It's a lightweight sculpture you're looking at here. There's the cavity most appropriate in the eardrum. There was a vent there that reduced the chance of it breaking apart. It helps to escape steam and air bubbles. Yes, that's what it does. The nostrils and the needle tool is what I use. You can use the needle tools and you look at the pupil of the eyes. Those are some little peepholes. Those are little vents, very minuscule vent that helps to get rid of the steam and the moist in the clay. And as I said before, to reduce the possibility of you losing your product. If you notice it's not fully a bust because the neck is totally shattered, but it's good that the main part of the bust is preserved. Alright, so we're ready to paint this sculpture right now. Everything is intact. I'm using acrylic paint. So the black is dried. Here's the gold that I'm gonna use. I prefer to use the gold. You don't have to use the gold. You can use the actual bronze because it is sold. You can buy the bronze. And I prefer to use the gold mixed with the black when it's partially dried. Here's a sample of the actual bronze.
Paintbrush?
Are we gonna use a paintbrush? No, guys, we're gonna be using sponge. I'm going to be using a sponge. Does that ring a bell?
Remember when we did the stencil printing? We used a sponge to create art patterns.
Yeah, we used a sponge to pat, 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 tap, 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 to print our patterns. Yeah. Ah, guys, you are transferring the knowledge from elements of design. So what we do, we tap, 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 or we pat, 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 pat. Say with me, tap, tap, tap. Say it together. Go. Come on, who can say it the fastest? We sound like the bird named Woodpecker.